flavor.
Only intended for a plain cat.
You don't want to die of cold. Toll free.
I'll give you trouble.
Hello there, it is me, Tarman, and welcome back. Today, sorry, my hands are blue because I've been painting ultramarines. So my hands are blue right now. But, speaking of that, yes, I did it. I actually have a Primarch. But, we all know the other Primarch that I do have, which is Turbo Peter. Unfortunately, that's not what this Primarch is. We are going to get to him, but I kind of want to do something different because I have a couple Iron Warrior videos that I've already done, so we're going to get to him in the future, but this is going to be more of a modification. Those of you that don't know, I have started an Ultramarines army, and obviously I had to get the blue Smurf himself, but I think the model himself is very nice, but I think the base could be a little bit better, and we're probably going to modify him just a little bit. So let's crack this bad boy open and show all the parts nice and clean. So let's hop to that now. Alrighty, so here is the base. Nothing's glued together yet because we're gonna break. So this is currently how it is, but I want to make it look like it's been through a battle. And then we're gonna add a couple dead Space Marines on the base too. We're not gonna focus on Guilliman, probably not on this video because I'm gonna go through what I'm doing here. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to shatter this and break it to knock this pillar off. And then we're going to add some scrapes and battle damage to this pillar. Probably going to leave that broken too. And then with the actual base, I'm going to break it a bit. I think maybe it'll be fine the way it is. Still thinking about it, but definitely with these pillars because I think they're a bit much and it could be a little bit better. But the way this is right now, I just wanted to make it look a little bit more damaged than it is. So we're gonna start hacking this bad boy. Like I think. Or maybe it is fine the way it is. Maybe I'll just add debris. I think that'll be better. Yeah. Okay, that's what we'll do actually. We'll add debris with the dead Space Marines. So let's just sit back and start adding in some damage here. Some of the things you will need, you'll probably need some snippers, and then I have these drill bits to add in sizes of bullet holes and stuff, and then obviously a scalpel to help nick at it. Let me just see this. Yeah, this pillar is definitely going to come down. I just think it's a bit much. But we want to make it look cooler than it already is. I'm going to add some chipping to the stone. That's really what, we'll add some chipping and stuff to the stone. And I have these. So we'll add in some of this to the base just to add in like debris and stuff on it. But the first thing we're going to do here, we're going to break this guy and add some chips and stuff to it. So let's begin. And here we are. There is the new base, all destroyed and rubbled up. But I want to add some dead Space Marines, so I have 2 so far. This is one. I'm just going to modify him and have him leaning right here, and I'm going to have another Space Marine right here, just split in half with his guts everywhere. So really what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to be chopping them up and using green stuff. Putty, you can really use whatever putty that you're comfortable with using. I'm just going to use green stuff because I think it's the better one for this. I am going to be adding this to the top of it. I just haven't done it yet. But for right now, this is the modifications I've done to it. It just looks more destroyed. You know, a little bit cooler, just making it look visually interesting. But I want to add some dead Space Marines. I got some nice little Space Marine bits, like some helmets scattered around, like a battle just happened, and Guilliman just destroyed 2 Space Marines easily. So let's hop into adding 2 dead Space Marines. And I'm probably going to add some skulls and stuff to this too. So let's begin. And here we are. It doesn't have the putty work yet. That's why it's kind of blank right there on that Space Marine. But look at the base now. Now I think it just looks a little cooler, like some action happened. Space Marine bits, got a dead Space Marine here. We got shot in the head, and the back of his helmet is blown out. Let's see if you can see it a little better. Yeah, back of his helmet's blown out. Bolter round hit him right in the head. Crumbled right there. All chipped and stuff too. Little bolter. Some bullet holes. I think it does just... I don't think the original base is bad, but I just think compared to like some of the other Space Marines, it could be better. And I think this helps it look a little bit better too. I am gonna add this. I just haven't done it yet. I want to straighten it up first before I glue it on. But I think that will just look a lot better instead of just having the 2. In my opinion, I think the 2 just looks kind of weird in a way, you know? But with the 1 right there, and then you have Guilliman, I think that will look really good. I don't think I'm going to change Guilliman's pose at all. I think it will work. Mainly because it's going to be kind of hard to change his pose. It can be done, but at the same time, though, I'm kind of like, you know what? It's the original model. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. That will just look so much better. dead Space Marines around him like he just got done slaughtering them. Oh yeah. And like in here for an example, so you guys can see what my aim is here. Let's just put that right there so he doesn't fall. I think that just looks better. Oh, and he still fell. Well, not good enough. Alright, let's try that again. See, I think that just looks better with the one. Instead of having the two, I don't think two looks bad, but in my opinion, I like it with just the one and the broken piece of rubble right there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Alright, but the next thing to do is the grain stuff. So let's just mix up some of that and add some guts and fill in some joints and stuff on this guy. Let's do it. And there we are. Look at that Space Marine right there with his guts just ripped out of him, split in half, Guilliman. And then you have this other Space Marine over here you think is fine, and then you notice, hey, where's the back of his head? Then you flip over and you notice, oh, there's a little bolt hole in his eye. And his brains are hanging out. I know, very graphic. This is probably the most graphic Primarch base ever made, other than well, no, about for the amount of bodies, I think the Lion wins, but as much viscera, oh yeah, look at that. And I love the changes that I did, just make it look more grim dark, you know, like this is supposed to be the Horus Heresy, so their Space Marine on Space Marine combat. It's the first ever it's ever happened, and it was like supposed to be or described as like extremely brutal. Oh yeah, look at that. I think that just looks so much better. Like there's actual war going on, you know, leading a charge. Yeah. Okay, so now that this is done, really, the next thing I'm going to do, I am going to prime it black. So next time you see it, it'll be primed black. And here it is, primed black. Now that we have this all tied together, we can start with the painting. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to make this a black marble. But in order to do that, we need to spray a white first. And after it is sprayed white, we're going to stretch this over it. And this is a drying sheet. It's been used, so it doesn't have the scent on it anymore, but it will work for the marbling effect. So we'll stretch this over the piece and then spray it black with it on. And then after that, we just remove it, and it should look like black marble. So that's the next thing I'm going to be doing here, so let's do it. Alrighty, this is it after spraying the marbling effect, and I think it turned out pretty good. I did spray it with a clear coat, so that is why it is shiny. Well, it's a gloss clear coat. And I went ahead and already picked out the two Space Marines on the base black, so they'll be just a little easier to paint in the future. But the first thing we're going to be doing is picking out some of the details on the base, which will be the letters. And I want the letters to pop, so the color we're going to be using is this. So let's do it. There we go. All right, so now all of the lettering is picked out. The next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna pick out the plaque, like the bronze's bits on it, and the two colors we're gonna be using are these. This one will be for the base, and then we're gonna dry brush it with this. So let's do it. And there we are. So that's done. The next thing we do, we gotta make it pop. So we're gonna be putting a wash over it. And the wash we'll be using is this. Let's do it. Okay, so now that is done. Look at that, pops a lot more now. So now we're gonna pick out the two Space Marines. The first guy will be the word bearers, and then he will be the world eaters. But we're gonna start with the word bearer first. And the color we're gonna be using is red, and the red we will start with is this. Let's begin. Okay, so now this first part is done. We gotta darken the armor up. So for the red, we're gonna go over it with this. And for the black, we're gonna go over it with this. Let's do it. Alrighty, so he is pretty much done for right now. The paint is still drying, so while that's drying, we're gonna hop over to the World Eater. And we're gonna be painting him a nice white, but we're gonna have some fun with it. So for the first color, we're gonna be painting the armor is this. So we're gonna coat the whole armor in this, and then we're gonna go over it with this, using that as a highlight. And for the blue, we're just gonna be using a basic blue, and the blue is this. So let's do it. And there we are. So this is him just for right now. If you see any black, it's just the black Templar that I'm using. I'm using it universally for both of them. But the next thing we're going to do, we're going to make this guy a veteran sergeant. So the red we're going to be using is this. Alrighty, so there they both are together. The next thing we're going to do is pick out the lenses to their helmet, and it will be the same color. So we're going to use this Army Speed Painter, this. So let's do it. Alrighty, so now this part is done. So the next thing to do, we're going to putting a wash and the decals on them, and then spraying it with a matte clear coat. So next time you see it, it will have the decals, but we're going to be just putting the wash on it. Yeah, but when we spray it with the matte, I'm going to be putting silly putty over it. But the color we're going to be using, or the wash we'll be using, will be this. Let's just do it. So a little context here, I used the silly putty as masking so I wouldn't damage the shine on the marble when I sprayed the matte finish on the Space Marines. So that's why I use their silly putty all over it. Alrighty, so there they are, nice and clear coated. So now it's finally time to move on to the metallic bits. The first color we're going to be using for both of them is this. So let's do it. Okay, so now that part of the metallic bits is done. The next thing we're going to do is pick out his trim for the World Eaters. And we're going to kind of go with like a goldish bronze trim on it, even though the color we're using won't be either of those. So we're just going to use this. Let's do it. And there they are. So now all of the trim is picked out. Both of the Space Marines are painted up in the colors that they need to be in, but we're not done yet. There's still quite a ways to go. I'm going to be adding a little bit of blood spattering effect on his armor, but not the full gore yet. So the color we're going to be using is this. And I'll be dipping my brush in it and then taking a toothpick and flicking it just to add a splattering effect on him. But we're not going to do all the blood yet because I still need to pick out the rubble, and I want the Space Marines to be picked out first so they blend into the rubble. And then after the rubble's done, then we're really going to be adding the gore. So let's paint this bad boy up. Alrighty, so now we got the blood spattering on his armor done. I did pick out the back of his head just a little bit, and look at that. I think he looks a lot better. So we need to highlight some of the silvery bits, which I kind of forgot to do before we do the rubble. And the color will be this. So let's do it. Alrighty, so now this part is done. Everything's picked out. So now we are finally going to start picking out the rubble and the base. I do want the dirt and stuff to look a little different from the marble, so we're going to be using some tones. I have this pigment powder that I'm going to be mixing some water in to make the main color, and we're going to be painting it over the rubble here. And then we're going to be using this to do some splattering to help tie it together. And then we're going to be covering the marble just a little bit with this pigment powder to add some variation in it. So as soon as we do all that, we'll just be hitting all the little dark area, or really the rubbly areas for the powder. Let's do it. Okay, so now that is all nice and picked out. Now the next thing we got to do is pick out the skulls on the base. There's only 3, so not that many. The first color we're going to be using for the base will be this. And then we're going to do a little bit of edge highlighting and hitting the high points with this. Oh yeah, so let's do it. Okay, so those are all picked out, and the base is almost done. But now the next thing to do, we're going to finally add in the gore to these two Space Marines. So the color we're going to be using is this. And there we are. Now it is completely completed. I just think this is a definite improvement on the original base. Now it just looks like it's been through hell and back. You know, not just on a perfectly pristine little base here, it looks like he is in a war. Showing off the Siege of Macragge, I think, or is it Ultramar? I don't know. You guys tell me down below. I'm really happy with it. I think it turned out really nice. You know, I'm a big fan of just destruction of 30K, and I think this is a good representation of it. You know, and makes Guilliman look a little bit cooler. You know, he's not just like, look at me, I'm on my perfect little base. Now it's like, look at me. Let me grab him. Yeah, okay. All right, yep. That just looks so much better in my opinion, and just really happy with it. You know, had a lot of fun doing this, and stay tuned too, because I am going to be painting him not in his traditional way. I am going to change his paint scheme up just a little bit, really, with the blue. I have an idea for that, but stay tuned for that video in the future. But, you know, just tell me what you guys think. Do you think it looks a lot better, or are you just a hardcore fan of the original? In my opinion, I think it looks better. But I hope you guys definitely enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed the changes I did to it. But stay tuned in the future, the part 2. But without further ado, let's hop into the montage.